Hello, my name's Bond, Richard Bond, and this is Curmudgeonly Yours, a show on Society Bites Radio, part of the Radio Ear Network family, supplying social interaction for the mind and soul. The introductory and concluding music to this show is La Polonaise by Wieniawski, played by Max Bond. I am your host and curmudgeon, where everything is what it seems. Nothing is what it seems. And what is not said is often of most interest. Today, I will be speaking with Italian-American chef and entrepreneur, the author of The Basic Art of Italian Cooking and host of her own podcast show, Maria Liberati. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Richard. Thanks for having me.
It's fine. It's great to have you on Curmudgeonly Yours on Society Bites Radio, part of the Radio Ear Network and broadcasting out of Sarasota, Florida. Maria Liberati is an Italian-American chef, entrepreneur, and winner of the prestigious Gourmand World Cookbook Award for her culinary travel book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Her award-winning blog, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati, TM, at marialiberati.com, was selected as Culinary Travel Blog of the Year by the New York Travel Writers Society and has 300,000 worldwide followers. Maria is considered one of the foremost experts on Italian cuisine and wine. She regularly appears on TV, radio, and in print, and hosted, as well as wrote, her own PBS TV series based on her culinary travel book series. Maria studied the culinary arts in Italy and founded The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati TM trademark, now with its own line of food products in the works. Although Maria holds a degree in foreign languages and originally went to university to become a translator, she also studied nutrition. But after college, she began modeling internationally, and while in Italy, she discovered her family's roots there in the food and wine business and began studying at her family's vineyard high in the mountains of Abruzzo. Sergio Terzi is a well-known primitive Italian artist asked to paint her portrait after seeing her at a fashion show in the center of Rome, while at his studio in the region that is famous for producing Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. She studied this age-old cheese-making process. The portrait was exhibited all over the world and even in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. This experience really sparked her interest, and she decided to study the culinary arts formally in Italy, and then worked with chefs at many resorts, trattorias, and vineyards throughout Italy. The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati, TM, was born. Her book series followed, and she was granted a trademark. She has now authored 10 culinary travel books, hosted her own show on PBS, has her own ROKU channel, and is now working on hosting her own podcast and her next book project. Maria is also a consultant for the food industry and produces and hosts cooking videos for food product and home, as well as DIY companies. Maria is also very passionate and outspoken about food waste and speaks frequently on how to eliminate food waste and the trash food movement. She also speaks on healthy eating topics and is a proponent of magically converting recipes to make them not only tasty, but functional, and as a result, healthy. Maria Liberati, it's time for you to speak now. How did you go from supermodel to chef?
Well, it actually wasn't that difficult of a transition because I think the culinary arts was kind of always in me as an Italian. You know, we grow up cooking in families with our families. So it was, the interest was always there. I just thought it was a normal thing that everybody had these gigantic Sunday dinners and, you know, cooked together.
Right.
So, however, when I was in Italy, it just, the food just sparked my interest even more in the culinary arts.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's just unbelievable. And the funny thing is, you know, we can definitely, I'm sure you can identify because you know, and you know,
Yeah.
but if you try to explain it to someone that's never been there or never experienced the food in Italy or France, they just, it's hard to explain exactly. But
I know.
yes.
Somebody came up to me. I remember telling me once, an American said, "What the tomatoes are so good tasting. You know, they have this special taste, and you can really taste the cheeses and everything."
Yes. Yes. Well, my comment was one way I try to explain it to people is I felt like when I was here, I was eating like not, I was actually eating like the plastic versions of food.
Mm,
When you're there, it's like, wow, you're really, now you know you're tasting the real deal. It's the real food.
it
You know,
really is.
that was the only way I could think of trying to explain it, but it just, it was so it just sparked such an interest in me to study. It inspired me. That's what I was going to say. It just inspired me. It's so incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But and I also started studying more my roots in Italy, my family's history,
Mm-hmm.
and began spending time also while I was modeling in Italy at my one family, my dad's family. My paternal grandparents had a
Mm-hmm.
vineyard in the mountains of Abruzzo, so I started spending time there, and they produced and sold the local wines and cheeses and breads and things like that. So I spent time there, and then my actually my paternal grandmother, her family had a bakery in what's now the Molise region of Italy, but when she was born, it was actually called Abruzzi, but it's Molise.
Oh,
You probably know that story. So,
actually, I don't. But you want to tell it
oh,
now?
yes, sure. Well, Molise is a region in Italy. It's small. It's actually towards Naples. And my grandmother was born in a town called Vinafro, which is very famous for this wonderful, it's a bread they make with potatoes, but it's got a really crisp outside. It's just so good. In fact, they sell it all over Italy. They bring it to lots of places. It's so good. But anyway, so
It's
Venafro is a main city in the region of Molise, but Molise is a small region. Abruzzo is somewhat bigger, and
mhm,
Abruzzo and Molise were once one big region, and in the 1960s they decided to separate. So
mhm.
Abruzzi, which is plural for Abruzzo,
Right.
then really became Abruzzo and
Oh,
Molise. So technically, even though I say I'm Abruzzese because my family was all born in Abruzzi when it was Abruzzi, I'm actually
plural. It's like
part
one big
Molisano.
conglomeration. Yeah.
Yes, so I'm actually part Molisano. They call it Molisano if you're from
Okay.
Molise. So, but Molise is a really interesting region. It's smaller. It's just not as touristy. Abruzzo actually is not touristy either, thank goodness. But Molise is even less so. So,
Okay.
but anyway,
Well,
so yes,
tell me about the link that connects fashion and food,
yes,
because
sure.
it's sort of like we were just talking about.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yes, so food and fashion, I always tell people are I in Italy anyway, they're very connected. Food is connected to almost anything you can think of in Italy, and
Mm,
food has a style to it. It's also about healthy eating. So, as a
sure.
model, you always have to keep in mind, eat healthy and live a healthier lifestyle. So, it's really important to know a lot about your food, what you're putting into your body, how to
Sure.
prepare it. So, anyway, so that's also the connection, but it's very connected to style, the colors, the
Mm.
fragrance, everything is just, I just always felt there was such a connection to fashion in some way.
I'm not sure how that works exactly, but I guess if you're wearing white clothes, what kind of food are you going to be eating?
Well, yeah, no, but well, however, the colors that you put on a plate, there's
Oh
different
yeah,
colors, right? And there's a
sure.
style to the way you dress your table. There's a style to that. And in Italy, it's actually very fashionable to go when you just go to get an espresso or a cappuccino at the local, coffee bar. It's
Hmm.
all a fashion, it's how you dress to go there, and
Sure.
it's a whole thing. So there's that connection there. It's there. It's in there.
Well, tell me, when and why did your passion for cooking develop into a full-time enterprise?
Yes. Well, as I briefly mentioned, the food just started inspiring me so much. It was so inspirational. And I then began, as I was saying, to start studying in both families, one vineyard and the other that had a bakery, so Abruzzo and Molise, and began studying recipes that my great aunts had, and my grandparents and all that. And then I started actually putting things together, started writing, and I was actually beginning to get asked to do culinary programs at
Hmm.
resorts throughout Italy
Wow.
because I do speak Italian and English. And most of the tourists that want to do cooking classes that come to Italy are not Italian. They're, you know, uh,
Sure.
from different parts of Europe, but usually they speak some English. So I began doing that, and then went to a culinary school in Italy, and
Hmm.
that's kind of how it all sort of just became, one thing after the other. I don't think I ever thought in my lifetime that I was going to do this. If you would have asked me many years ago, it just sort of one thing, led to another. And Italy
Hmm.
is so much about the food. Everything is about food there. Anyone, knows
Sure.
recipes. So you know that it's
Well,
all
yeah.
food. So that just
I
inspired me.
I have a Sardinian wife, so I know all about Sardinian food.
There you go. Yep. Oh, that's another beautiful place. Yes. So everything is about the food there.
Sure.
And that's
Sure.
really what inspired me. It was almost like you couldn't escape it, and who wants to escape it? The topic is always about food, and it was something that I loved, and that I actually grew up with my grandparents and my parents
Okay.
in the US, but my grandparents were from Italy, and I experienced that and didn't really realize what I was experiencing until I went to Italy and realized where all of that my grandparents, all the things they were imparting to me came from. But
Okay.
I experienced it even more so in Italy, the traditions, the food traditions, and using the fresh food, and even growing,
Hmm.
foods, and learning all about that.
Where did you study cooking in Italy then?
A school called the Chef Academy in
Oh,
Italy. It's in a little town in
okay.
Umbria.
Umbria.
Yes,
Okay.
in
All right.
Umbria.
Well, let's talk about your Maria Liberati show.
Uh-huh.
That's at marialiberati.com. And
Yes.
does your show integrate your books, or is it something completely different?
Well, sometimes I do. Actually, I do one. So far, I'm doing one episode a week, and I sometimes pull stories from my culinary travel book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, because the book series is not just it's not just cookbooks. It's really a culinary travel memoir.
Hmm.
So I have lots of stories that I wrote. As I mentioned, Italy is so inspirational. So lots of stories that I wrote about my experiences there relating to food and the little towns that I
Oh,
either
yeah.
lived in or went to. So,
So crazy stories then, huh?
well, kind of, yes, and fun stories, yes. Yes,
Okay.
crazy and fun. And people there are so unique. There's a lot of character, which I love
Yeah, for
about the
sure.
people there. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
that all lends to the enjoyment of the food.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, what foods do you like the most? Is the cheeses, the fruit, or just everything, huh?
Well, as a whole, I would say everything, but